hello to everyone who has just joined us. We're just getting set up here. I'm going to put my slides on the screen. We will have a few students that are going to trickle in and join us. So if I pause for a moment, it's just to let somebody else in. But thank you so very much for being here today to learn about my personal favorite program and the program I came from, Sustainability, Science and Society. We are very, very pleased to see you here today. So I'm just going to go ahead and load up my slides. Okay, a tiny little bit of housekeeping. So I'm going to be talking about basically what it's like to be a student at Brock University, a little bit of the benefits of being a Brock student, and then I will pass it over to the program for the program-specific information. At any point, if you have any questions, we do have a Q&A function. You are welcome to put your questions in the Q&A function, and we will address the questions at the end. And later on, I'll be able to allow you to use your microphone and camera should you wish to ask a question that way if time permits. So without further ado, hello, my name is Becky White-Cote. I am the Graduate Recruitment Coordinator for the Faculty of Graduate Studies and Postdoctoral Affairs. I pretty much eat, sleep, and breathe Brock. I went here for my swimming lessons when I was a kid. My mom went here for her teacher college, and I got my undergrad and my graduate degree here at Brock, my grad degree being the one you're about to learn about today. So if you'd like to put in the chat where you're joining us from, I didn't mention that earlier, you're also welcome to do that. It's always great to know who we're speaking with, whether you're a Brock student or maybe attending somewhere else. If you are a Brock student, forgive me if you're about to hear some information that you already know, but because I know that we have students joining us from a variety of locations, I'll give you a quick overview about what it's like to be a graduate student at Brock. One of the things that I love most about it is the community feel. You are getting the big city education, but the feel of a small school. So we are technically a medium-sized university with between 19 and 22,000 students. But you're going to see people you know in the hallway. Your professors are going to know your name. You're not just going to be a face in the crowd. And specifically for a program like this, you're going to know your peers. You're going to know all of your professors. Like it's a very, very cozy, friendly, community-oriented type of school. And definitely that's how I felt in the program as well. So we are one of Canada's top 50 institutions for research productivity. I always say we punch above our weight category. There's a lot of great research and a lot of great awards that are being won by our researchers that we're reading about here at Brock all the time. We are located in a UNESCO World Biosphere Reserve with more than 4.5 million acres of green space. It is a very unique location to have a campus. So when I get maybe a little bit stressed out, I go right behind that tower there, and there are some really awesome hiking trails that are steps away from the back of Brock University. So that is one of my personal favorite things about where we are located. Another thing I want to note is that we have opportunities to enhance your degree with professional development programs, and I will be talking about that a little bit more in a moment. I saw some, quickly it popped up that somebody's joining us from Ghana today, so welcome, and regardless of where you are today, welcome again. So we are located right here, the little red arrow there, about 15 minutes away from Niagara Falls, about an hour or an hour and a half with traffic away from Toronto, and also very close to Buffalo as well. There are airports in Toronto, Hamilton, and Buffalo, but most international arrivals, I would say, come through Toronto, but very, very centrally located. St. Catharines is about 130,000 people. The way I determine if a city is big or small is how many takeout options are available, and I can say that there are a lot that will deliver right to Brock. We have a very vibrant downtown core, including some businesses that are owned by Brock alumni. So if you do come by, please be sure to go to Beechwood Donuts. That is not an ad. They are just one of my favorites. And if you have questions about on or off-campus housing options, you can connect with me after, and I can introduce you to some of our resident staff. So on campus, we have a lot of different areas specific for graduate students. So whether that's study space, social space, whether you want to meet with people and, book a room that's specific to graduate students, we have that space available. We also have a graduate student association. And one of the FAQs that I get from students is, okay, well, what is there specifically for graduate students? So in addition to the space, we do have staff to support you both with the GSA, with the Faculty of Graduate Studies and Postdoctoral Affairs, and then, of course, through your program. So this is going to be just a very quick overview of these next 2 slides. So some of the things that we offer to our students are academic writing support. My very good friend Danielle will book a one-on-one with you. Please note this is not an editing service, but she will give you what's called a critical read and sit down for like an hour with you and go through whatever paper or whatever writing project it is that you are working on. So just know that support does exist in that academic scenario where you're like, gee, I'm really nervous about this project, or maybe it's your thesis or MRP. We can help you with that. There's ways to get involved as a graduate student, such as the 3-minute thesis competition, the GradFlix video competition, which is a lot of fun, and Mapping the New Knowledges conference. And you don't always have to be a competitor or a presenter at these events. You are welcome to attend, cheer on your peers, and maybe learn something from one of your peers in a different faculty, something you might not have known before. Our student development program is called GradVantage. So again, this is just a very quick overview of what this program is about. There's so much more to it, and I'd be happy to tell you about that. If you want to book a one-on-one with me, you are welcome to. So this is a development framework to support students during their graduate studies and beyond. It's organized into 5 areas of development to help guide graduate student success. So this is more than just academics. This is outside of the classroom. It's getting involved in your community. It's perhaps learning about leadership, or perhaps creating something, researching something, or explaining your research. How are you going to communicate these things? So this is a way for students to get involved and build themselves up as a student, as a person, as someone who's about to go into the workforce. We try to support our students in all of those different areas, and your journey may look different from your peers. It's whatever you would like it to be underneath those umbrellas. So those experiences are tracked. It is a co-curricular transcript. And if you have any other questions about that, you are welcome to connect with me. So here is my email address at the bottom of the screen, gradrecruit@brockU.ca. I'm the only recruiter, so if you do email that email address, you are going to get me. And even if I'm not the right person, I'm happy to be the connector and point you in the right direction. So without further ado, I am going to stop sharing. I am joined by the best of the best here today. We have Aaron Isaac, Aaron Sanderson, Madeline, who is our student ambassador, and Dr. Marilyn Carey, who will be telling you all about our program. So, Marilyn, if you'd like to throw your slides. Oh, you're already on it. I'm sorry. I must have a delay. But at this point, I'm going to be in the background. If anybody has any questions for me, you can save them and we can talk about it at the end, but I will be here and I will pop back on after this.
Thanks. Sorry, I forgot to turn my mic back on. Can you see the slides okay?
They look great. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. It's great to be here and to share with you some information about our Master of Sustainability program at Brock. This is being recorded, so if you do want to look back at it again later, we'll have it up on our website in the coming days. And I just want to give a quick land acknowledgement that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples, many of whom continue to work and live here today. This treaty is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, this gathering place is home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, and acknowledging that reminds us that our great standard of living is directly related to the resources and the friendship of Indigenous people. And it's really important for us to share that because we do very much think that it's important to include all voices, especially when we're talking about issues around environmental sustainability. So as Becky mentioned, we live in a beautiful part of Canada and in Ontario. The tower you see on the image to the right is the highest tower on campus, and I think anywhere around us. So it's quite visible in the landscape. And at this time of year, it looks absolutely beautiful. As you know, we've got with us today a few different people. Erin Sanderson is here as well as myself. I'm the grad program director, and Erin is our SERC coordinator for our center, as well as our grad student ambassador, Madeline Legault. And then, of course, Becky is here as well. We also have a guest here with us, Erin Isaac. She's on her way out of the role as Erin Sanderson is returning back to that role. But you've probably interacted with Erin Isaac at some point, and she'll be popping in website URLs today so that you can kind of peruse through some different links that will give you additional information about our programs. So thanks for being here. My presentation will be about 20 minutes, and then we'll follow that with the Q&A. And as I mentioned, Erin's going to pop in some URLs for you. So as Becky mentioned, we're on the beautiful Brock campus within a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve, which is intended to promote solutions reconciling the conservation of biodiversity within its sustainable use. And so these are learning areas that are immediately in our backyard. The Environmental Sustainability Research Center hosts our program. And so on the bottom left image, you can see a nice picture of the little house that we occupy. It's a little farmhouse built back in 1837, and that's where we operate out of. So before we take a deep dive into the Master of Sustainability Science, it's important for us to actually define what we mean by sustainability science. And this is an emerging field coming out of sustainable development. And it's really a new vision of kind of harnessing the knowledge of science and society so that we can look at solving real world problems that we face and even opportunities that are presented to us. So we take a solutions-oriented approach to problem solving. And of course, we recognize that the research on these kind of complex challenges, like climate crisis, for example, requires input from various communities of knowledge, including Indigenous knowledge. So it's got a very transdisciplinary orientation in that we accept students from across all different backgrounds and fields, and we work closely with communities. I should add that our program's been around since 2014. We've now graduated over 90 students from our program, and most of those students are now employed within the field of sustainability science, which is, I think, really exciting for all of you here. So a little bit about the ESRC, or the Environmental Sustainability Research Center. Again, it's transdisciplinary in orientation. It's dedicated to research and education around environmental sustainability. We are named as a research center, but we actually offer both undergrad and grad programming, including the first in Canada PhD in sustainability science. So if you're thinking about your future beyond a master's degree, there are other opportunities for you. But yeah, given our transdisciplinary nature, we engage across a range of disciplines. We have students from biology, sociology, economics, business, even law. So no need to fret if you're from a different discipline. That doesn't matter because we're co-creating solutions to sustainability challenges that cut across all of those disciplines and engages with communities, both near and far. So we are comprised of about 20 core faculty and faculty affiliates that are conducting research in this space. So faculty from social sciences, math and science, engineering, applied health, and the Goodman School of Business, pardon me, are all an important part of our faculty complement. We offer 3 distinct pathways of study. So we have a major research paper and co-op. We have a thesis pathway, and then a course-based option for students as well. And we'll talk about each one of those in turn. So there are some funding packages available to research-based full-time students. So that's probably something that you're interested in. And the deadline for applications is February 1, 2026. So about the degree pathways, the first one we'll talk about is the research paper and co-op pathway. And students desiring a rigorous academic education that's enriched by practical application of classroom learning and research will pursue this particular pathway. You'll see that it's 16 months in duration, and students complete the degree requirements earn a degree that's titled Master of Sustainability Co-op. You can look on our website, but there are many different co-op opportunities that students have had, and that's what I think makes this particular pathway really desirable to a lot of students, where you get the combination of research opportunities and then, of course, apply that in a workplace. That could be with a local municipal government. It could be with a federal government agency. It could also be for a not-for-profit, a conservation authority. So there's some really cool opportunities that our students have pursued. And Erin will be able to pop into the chat a link to learning more about our alumni and some of the co-op opportunities that they had. Of course, you can always ask questions after about that as well. But you spend 2 terms of in-class work, and then you have a co-op term, and then your last term, you're writing your major research paper. And throughout that, the course of your work, your coursework, and in your research, you have opportunities to engage with community partners, which is really important. So we have a lot of experiential education opportunities built into our classrooms, built into research assistantships, and even in your research work, which is a really unique piece of our program. For those that are interested in a rigorous academic education that has intense research experience, then you'll want to pursue the thesis pathway. Students in the thesis pathway complete 2 terms of in-class work and then 4 terms of writing and preparing to defend a thesis. So it's quite a different experience, a little bit longer because the research piece is quite rigorous. So you're here for 2 years or 24 months unless you finish a little bit early. And then the last program is the course-based pathway. This is a newer pathway that's offered to those sustainability professionals, or you're aspiring to be a sustainability professional, and you want some practical experience. Maybe you have a little bit of practical experience already, that you're coming back to pursue this degree pathway. So there's a variety of different students coming into our program this year. For the first year, it's offered where you have quite a few different credits. You have 4 half credits that are core to sustainability science. Then you have a minimum of 3 sustainability science and society, or SAS, elective courses, and then a maximum of 3 half credit non-SAS electives. So you can actually explore other courses offered on campus and take those to kind of supplement your learning in our program. And that's quite a condensed pathway that's only 12 months. Again, you get a lot of experience working with partners and other sort of experiences in our courses. For this pathway, we also have an option for part-time studies, which is really great. So What does that kind of look like? This graphic shows you a nice sort of term by term, the length of each program, color coded there in the legend. Shows you the different ways that students can progress through our program. What's really cool about the program is, one, you have a range of students coming from various different academic and professional backgrounds, reflecting the transdisciplinary orientation. So there's a space for everyone in this program. A lot of the way we've structured the program allows for this kind of cross-pollination of ideas and builds a strong community of sustainability thinkers as well as practitioners. And of course, you'll be a part of a vibrant interdisciplinary cohort when you're working together to kind of advance sustainability solutions. So we often work with partners who have real world challenges, and we help them solve those challenges, which is pretty fun. So in terms of supervisions, if you're in a research-based pathway, either the major research paper with co-op or the thesis pathway, then you will be working with a supervisor, but you do not need to reach out to supervisors ahead of time. You can instead list the top 3 core faculty that you think kind of match your research interests and academic background or expertise, which is really exciting. So yeah, you don't have to worry about that piece if you're applying to the course-based pathway. But for those of you who are interested in faculty research, there's several different areas of research. So these are just kind of some of the major areas in biodiversity conservation, climate change adaptation, water resource governance. We have a Canada Research Chair, Dr. Julia Baird, as part of our team, which is fantastic. There's others studying resilience. I focus my work on the urban tree canopy, urban forestry, but we also cover topics in corporate social responsibility and a whole lot more. We can't list them all here, but you can read about core faculty on our website, and you can also see whether faculty are available to take students this coming year or not. So starting fall 2026. Okay, in terms of student life and research, regardless of the degree pathway, we offer both in-person and online learning, field experiences. We have a speaker series. There's lots of co-op opportunities. We have visits with innovative community partners. And of course, we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but there's also opportunities for being a teaching or research assistant. So some of these photos are showing you fieldwork experiences in Southern Ontario, for example, or students visiting with a local research center there at the center of this graphic at Vineland Research and Innovation Center, where some of our students have done co-ops and others have actually been hired there, which is pretty cool. So we encourage a strong research culture that supports working across many different perspectives with many different people, co-creating solutions to environmental sustainability challenges. We even have a little community garden just located outside of Teal House where we're homed. And we're running a seed library each year so that students can either get seeds for free to plant their own garden, and they can harvest those seeds and bring them back to the library too. So there's lots of other things you can do beyond the studies that you undertake here. So yeah, I encourage you to read more about our alumni from our website. Hopefully Erin was able to post that for you. In terms of course options and electives, there's several that we are running over the next year. These may change depending on who's available to teach, but this just gives you an idea of some of the course options and elective courses, and then some recent thesis and MRP topics. I can tell you that the 2 core courses that you take are Foundations in Sustainability Science and the Methods of Environmental Inquiry. Those courses typically run the first term to kind of get everybody on the same page around what is sustainability science and what are the methods we use to apply that approach to solving the problems that we face. Okay, some postgraduate career opportunities. As I mentioned, we have about 90 plus students graduated from this program, and many are employed in these types of, so you see the common employers there, but there's many different career pathways that you can explore that some of our alumni are exploring now. And you can hear more about that from a career panel that we had just last week. We've just got the recording, and we are hoping to share it with all of you so that you can also watch that video as well, which I think will be kind of helpful to making your decision around what degree pathway you'd like to pursue. Okay, in terms of funding, there's a couple different opportunities. Students in the research-based pathways are eligible for full-time funding at Brock, and Becky can field any questions you might have around that. Coursework students are eligible to apply for scholarships, bursaries, and other forms of external funding. Typically, a funding package for someone in the research-based pathway would include a graduate fellowship and a graduate assistantship. That would be either in the form of a teaching assistantship or research assistantship. And then there are other opportunities that you can pursue as well for both internal and external funding. And we often, within our ESRC, the center itself, we try to secure funding for students as well. Some funding will also come through supervisors in the form of research fellowships. And that's something that a supervisor would do with their own student based on their own funding support. I just note that if you're going to be employed as a teaching assistant or a research assistant in our program, you must be eligible to work in Canada to qualify for that. So that means that you've passed a port of entry into Canada, you have a valid social insurance number, and a Canadian bank account. All right, and then lastly, the admissions requirements. You might be familiar with these already, but you must have a minimum of 75% to be considered by the admissions committee. That's over the last 2 full years of full-time study. You must also pass a English language proficiency test. So that's really important. And a 4-year bachelor degree or the equivalent from an accredited university is also really important. So please carefully consider those first before reaching out to our program. All applicants, of course, go through the OUAC, the Ontario University Application Center portal, I believe it's called, and you submit the supporting documents to Brock. One thing I would flag is that no professional experiences are required to apply for a program. And I would strongly suggest you go through the checklist that we have here for applications. A curriculum vitae is really important, or a resume, a written statement of intent. That should be a formal essay with references in text, citations made. So avoid any casual tone there. It'll be important for your statement of intent to convey the rationale for why you're seeking entry to the program, as well as describe how does it advance your academic and professional aspirations. And it's a great idea even to mention in that statement of intent, who you envision working with or whose research interests are aligned with yours. You must also provide a list of 3 core faculty members who could act as your supervisor. That's for research-based only students. And Erin will pop a link into the chat about our core faculty so that you can see who's available to supervise a master's student, research-based master's student next fall. So remember, course-based students do not need to secure a supervisor to apply to that program. For those references, it's also important for you to choose academics that know your work. And I suggest you contact them and actually give them a little bit more information about yourself. For example, if you took a course with them at your undergrad university, then make mention of that, mention the grade that you got in that course, and give them as much information to help them be able to write a really strong reference letter for you rather than one or two sentences. They typically have to comment on your academic achievements, your scholarly promise, your ability to conduct independent research. So if you did a project, you might want to highlight that project for them and explain to them what you did. They typically have to comment on your judgment, your industriousness, your creativity, your ability to meet deadlines is really important. So give them as much information as you can so that they can write a really informed letter that supports your application, right? So you need to provide 2 academic references and then, of course, transcripts from your undergraduate university or potentially your grad if you've already got a master's degree. The application deadline, as we already mentioned, is February 1, 2026. All right. And then I think we'll just open up the floor for questions and I'll stop sharing my slides here.
Okay,
Thank you.
I will allow everybody to use their microphone and camera if they should choose. That will be active in just a moment. And while I'm doing that, if I can jump in with a little administrative note on references, we do not require letters. We require their contact information, and then we will send them a form that they will fill out with all of those details that Marilyn mentioned. But just when you're talking to them, just know that they don't owe us any type of letter that you would then submit. You just have to submit their contact information. That's pretty high up on my FAQs that I get. Okay, sorry folks, takes me just a second to allow everyone to use their microphone. There we are. And oh, sorry, yes, please feel free,
I
go
wasn't
ahead.
sure if I was supposed to just go for it or wait.
Go for it.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. First of all, is around the English proficiency requirements. I saw on the website that it was listed as 3 years, but now on the presentation I see it's 2 years. So which is which? I mean, to study in English.
I'll do some digging on that right now, and I'll be right back.
I've just pulled up the webpage and I can also add it in the chat, but it is saying on the official webpage that it's 3 years. So we should go with the 3 years.
Yeah, that was like the big thing that I noticed. And I have like a follow-up question on that because, you know, I have a combination of 2 years at Niagara College plus ESL course that I had to take in order to, you know, start studying at Niagara College. I was wondering if that can be a substitute for the IELTS or, you know, any other English proficiency test that is required by Brock for this program.
I'll take that one, folks. That one, I think you would need to email us specifically at graduatestudies@brocku.ca. My colleagues are the ones that would be able to provide you an answer for that question, and they are more familiar with the different types of programs that exist at Niagara College and students coming in with a combination of that experience. So I'll pop that email in the chat. Please feel
Okay.
free to send that to me or to us. We'll do it as a group, and we'll be able to get you an answer on that one.
Okay, I have a couple of more questions, but I'm going to leave it to other folks to have the opportunity to ask, and I'll be back if no one has any other questions. Thank you.
There we go. Sorry. I guess I'll jump in here. I'll head over to the Q&A, and if you guys would like, I can kind of be the facilitator and pass it over. It
We
looks like
did-
there's just one question right now. Sorry, Erin, go ahead.
No, I think we have one question in the actual video call. Michaela, please go ahead.
No, I wasn't sure if I should raise the hand or directly start speaking, and I started speaking. But if no one else has any other questions, I do have a couple of more questions.
My apologies.
All right, so I did take the IELTS, the academic one, but it was like a long time ago, like over 10 years. Would that still be good enough, or do I need to? No, I have to retake it. Yeah, it has an
No, it has to
expiry
be
date.
valid at the time of admission, and it's typically 2 years that they are valid for. So unfortunately, that one will have expired.
Okay. What about the cost during the if I choose the MRP path? I noticed there are like 2 terms. What about the terms where the co-op is supposed to happen? Do I still need to make those payments? It's still considered as a term from a financial perspective.
So the fees for this program, I do believe they would be charged per term, if I'm remembering that correctly.
Okay.
But I feel like that would be charged based off of the courses that you were taking. And in your co-op term, you will not be taking any courses. You will just be taking co-op. So there is a co-op fee. So you would have to pay attention to that in your ancillary fees.
Okay.
But I don't believe that there would be any other, and please, everyone else correct me if I'm incorrect here, but I don't believe that there would be anything else aside from ancillary fees and the co-op fee for that specific term.
Yep, that's my understanding as well, Becky.
Cool.
All right. And when it comes to transcripts, I already have the WES, Western Education, transcripts. So is that good enough?
Yeah, we actually don't require WES. If you have it and you would like to submit it, you are very welcome to. We do our own conversions, so it definitely doesn't hurt, but it is not required. So just saying that for everyone else on the call today who may be joining us from somewhere else. If you have it, submit it if you like. It's up to you.
Yep, but the transcripts are not in English, so that's why we opted for WES. So,
Sure. Yeah, in that case, I would definitely go ahead and include that.
all right, perfect. That's it from me. Thank you.
Yep. Any future questions about, after we end today, if you have any questions about transcripts, the UAC process, anything to do with the actual physical process of applying, you can message graduate studies at brocu.ca. I believe I put it in the chat, and either myself or one of my colleagues would be happy to help you with that. Since I'm already talking, I'll just keep going ahead. I see a question from Jess. Can the reference letters be filled by one academic reference and one professional reference? Oh, and Erin's already there. I'm sorry, I must have a slight delay. So thank you, Erin. We accept both academic and professional references. Okay. I see Derek has had his hand up. Thank you, Derek. Go ahead.
Oh, I think Malika has
Oh, I'm sorry.
a hand up as well there. Yeah, I think she was
Okay, I
before
think,
Derek.
She can go on first.
Sorry.
Hi. I wanted to ask about the MRP and thesis pathways. If we're applying, how much of a, I guess, research plan, how extensive does that have to be in the statement of intent?
Oh, that's a great question. We understand that you may not have developed, a lot of the kind of ideas around your research because it will in part depend on the supervisor that you're working with. But it's a great idea to at least share what research areas you're interested in. And, you can demonstrate that those are aligned with faculty members that you're interested in working with. Does that make sense? So you could talk about, for example, let's say you're interested in my work in the urban tree canopy work that I've been doing, then you could say that, hey, I've read a little bit about Marilyn's work. I'm really interested in looking at this aspect of the work around the urban tree canopy, and talk a little bit about where your interests lie. And then it would be great to add how your academic background supports that knowledge, right? And your interests, right? You may or may not have an interest in geospatial technologies, and that's totally fine. Or if you were thinking about, working with Julia Baird, then you could talk about your interests in empathy and building empathy, and then elaborate on, if you've had any experience or where your interests lie, why you have that interest, and why you think you'd be kind of a good match for her work, based on what you see online, kind of thing. So we don't expect you would have a clear statement of your research question and objectives and methods and all of those pieces. That would be worked out when you're actually in the program.
Okay, and for like, is there like a list of the people that are currently accepting research students, or is that just?
So yeah, I believe Erin popped into the chat room a list of core faculty. Since it's at about 252, she put a list. So right there on that list, if you go and look at each faculty member, just below that, I think it's in red, right, Erin? It shows in red text whether they're available to supervise a master's student or not in fall 2026.
I'm looking through all the stuff in the chat. I can't quite find it. Is it just under About Us?
I just re-added it.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
No worries.
No, that's a great question. And the other thing I would mention too is that the difference between there's a couple differences between major research papers and a thesis. And one is that a thesis is based on an original contribution to scholarship. So you're making, some new contribution to the existing scholarly literature, for example, on a topic. You typically conduct some kind of data collection, maybe through interviews or surveys or some field data collection, and then do data analyses, etc. Whereas a major research paper is not as long and often is more the style of a review, right? Where you can, but you don't necessarily have to make an original contribution to the scholarly literature.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, now I'm seeing Derek does not have his hand up, but I do see that Jess has her hand up. Please go ahead.
Hi, it's evening here, so pardon me for greeting. Good evening to everybody. My question is a very simple one. What's the acceptance rate for international students, and do you have any special requirements for international students pursuing or having interest in pursuing this program?
I'm sorry, but I could not hear you very well. It seemed like it was a little muffled. Are you able to repeat your question?
Okay, sorry, is it better?
Yeah, that seems better. Yes.
Okay, so I was asking if there's an acceptance rate for international students into this program, and if you have any special requirements for international students if they are applying to this program.
I'm still struggling. I'm not sure if others heard the question. It's around special requirements for international students. Can you tell me a bit more about in what ways?
Okay, I think I'm having issues with the network, so I would type it into the question and
Okay.
answer box. Yes, please.
That'd be great. Thank you, Jess. I just want to check in with Derek to ask if maybe his question was answered already. If not, Derek, we're happy to take your question.
All right, good evening from the part of West Africa. So I'm Derek Ando, a Ghanaian graduate in Morocco, currently during architecture, I'm in my final year. And my question is very simple. I just wanted to know, so an example is if my research interest doesn't really match with because I'm an architect, how do I get someone whose interest really matches with mine? Because in the field of architecture, we developing about buildings and sustainable budgets. So how do I get whose interest really matches with mine? I have been researching about some time now, but I haven't really gotten a professor who really has the interest in architecture. Thank you very much.
Marilyn, I think you and I are both not hearing the questions correctly, but I think that it may have had to do with if the students' research interests do not directly align with the interests of the faculty members. That was my understanding.
Exactly that.
Okay, super. Thank you for clarifying that for us. That's very helpful.
You know, it's a tricky question because they don't have to, it depends on the supervisor, number one. Some may take a student that, it's kind of a broad area of expertise that they have. For example, right now I'm working in the space of urban tree canopies, invasive species. But if somebody came to me with a project and said, hey, I'm interested in wetland ecosystems, or something that I have worked on in the past or that's still an interest of mine, then I would agree to supervise them, right? So it's really supervisor dependent. If it's something entirely outside of my area of expertise, like corporate social responsibility, as one example, I would not feel comfortable supervising as a student in that space, right? Because it would be too far out of my area of expertise and I think unfair to the student. And that's the challenge, and at the same time, the exciting piece around this program is that you can come from so many different backgrounds. So where I might not be a match, Todd Green in business would be a great match for someone who's interested in corporate social responsibility, right? So if it's kind of similar but tangential, then there's a good chance that the person would agree. But if it's entirely out of the scope of their work, then no. So for example, I use geospatial technologies, GIS and remote sensing in my work. But if you were to approach Julia Baird and say, hey, I want to do a project in remote sensing, she would say, oh, I'm not the right match for you, right? So, yeah. So it just depends on how closely related it is. It also depends, if the supervisor has funding they've secured for a student and they have to have students work on that specific project, then of course there's no room for kind of flexibility that way, right? So yeah, it really depends. But I say go for it anyway. That's why you list 3 people.
All right, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, I'm just typing away a little bit in the Q&A here. Aaron Isaac, sorry, I hope I'm not stepping on your virtual toes here. A student was asking, I want to know the acceptance rate. From a Faculty of Graduate Studies perspective, we don't typically share that information, and also it varies. So from our perspective, we don't really have a solid answer for that one, but for the next part of the question, hopefully I can help. if there are any special requirements for international students. And I was just saying, there's no like special requirements. You would apply via the same steps as any student. However, we would be looking for a valid English language test score. And if you have questions about immigration, visas, or permits, we have certified immigration consultants on staff with Brock International, and they are available to assist you. That email address is isa@brocku.ca, and I will just continue my message and put this in the Q&A so that, and if anyone needs to see it, it is there.
I could just jump in and add an answer to some of the questions. One question is, what happens if all 3 supervisors you list are not willing to supervise me? The great news is we still try to look for a match for you, and then we'll reach out to you and say, hey, these supervisors aren't available, but maybe someone else is. Would you consider working with them? The other one is Sally asked about the program being fully online or flexible for part-time students. We do have conversations around part-time studies for research-based students. We do have part-time studies available for course-based students, and we're working toward offering more courses online, but it's not yet fully online, no. So it's kind of in the next year, we'll have a mix, but predominantly in person. But we're actively working to get more of our courses online. How many courses, how many hours per week for a class? Typically, classes are 3 hours, and then you have work outside of the classroom that you would do as well.
I'm seeing a question here from Andrews in the chat, not the Q&A, saying he's already reached out to faculty. Great, we love that. They've agreed on the research. Does that suggest he will give me some research funding or something to help me with cost and tuition? From the Faculty of Graduate Studies perspective, I would have to go ahead and say not unless it's on your offer of admission. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, okay, I'm getting a nod. Yeah. So any information about your financial situation will be detailed in your offer letter so that you can make the best possible decision for yourself. Hypothetically, if you are weighing other offers or just would like to know more details about what your life would look like as a Brock graduate student. But I would say that agreement that you got was just an agreement for supervision, which is what is required for application. I hope that helped to answer your question.
Absolutely agree. You should not take that to mean that they will give you research funding. That's, yeah. So Becky, yeah, you're spot on.
I'm seeing another question in the chat here, and I'm not sure that whether we've covered this one or not. For the course-based path, what's the timeline the program must be completed by? I don't have the cap in my head. I'm not sure if any of you ladies do. It might be in the calendar, in which case you'd be welcome to connect with me after and I can guide you through that. Yeah, okay, that would probably be best. Ideally, though, again, yeah, sorry, Marilyn, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, we'll have to look that one up. Yep.
Yeah. From a FJSPA perspective, we do strive to keep our students on track as best we can. Of course, we understand life happens. Sometimes things come up. Perhaps you have to take a semester off or whatever the course, whatever may be. But in general, we would prefer to have our students stick to the proposed timeline as best we can. Okay, sorry, I'm just scanning to see if we'd missed anything.
Anders had a question about the difference between the thesis versus major research paper. You can follow up by email if you want to there, and I can answer that question. I know we're coming to time, so yeah, basically that the thesis is a couple months longer, 24 months versus 16 months. thesis, you're making a major contribution to the literature that's new and different. That's not a requirement for the MRP. Yeah, I can elaborate on an email if you'd like to follow up at sas@brocku.ca. I'll just put it in the chat here.
I just put it.
Oh, thank you.
No, more the merrier. You guys are absolutely welcome to shoot us an email and we would be happy to answer.
Go ahead, Malika.
Hi, I wanted to quickly ask about the MRP and co-op stream. Does the university, like, how does the co-op process work? I guess what preparations do we have? Like, what courses do you have to take in preparation for co-op?
Yeah, so there's definitely a course that you take. Oh, go ahead then. Go ahead, Becky. But
Oh,
I'm
I love
watching the
this one.
time.
I'm sorry. This one makes me so
ahead.
happy. So, as an alumni, this is where like I feel like everything just like took off for me. I loved it. So, there is a course that you have to take. I forget the course number. And for my specific cohort, that meant that we had to get all the way from like this side of the campus all the way to the other side of the campus. So, we all just walked like this to get there on time. We were always 5 minutes late, but you couldn't help it. They teach you every single thing that you will need to know about applying for co-ops and then getting a job within Canada. So this covers resume writing, cover letters, interview skills, anything that you need to know in order to be successful within this job search. Because essentially a co-op is a job search, but don't get ahead of me because I still have good news. So the way that it works typically is that we find the jobs for you. And once you've completed the course, you get the login to the co-op job board. You'll be able to see all of the ones and choose which ones you want to apply to. So we provide the co-op job board, but it is the student's responsibility to apply to those jobs and go through with the interview process. So that being said, there are staff members on hand. Like for me, for example, I was kind of only getting so far in my job search, and I was like, oh, like I don't know why I'm getting stuck. And they will go through everything with you step by step to be able to identify, like for me, I wasn't translating my experiences well enough in my achievement statements within my resume. And after I did that, I experienced much more success and I did get a co-op. So I think I've answered the question about like how that works, but I just can't stress enough how much support there is within co-op and like specifically for sustainability, because our co-op department is for the entire university, but I never once felt like we were just the minority group. You know what I mean? Like I received the same level of care and attention as a student in the sustainability program than, for example, the students in like the MBA program. And I think that that's very important to note because this program is small but mighty. And like, I don't know, I just had such a positive experience with it that I just really wanted to share that.
Thank you.
I also won the video competition that year for my co-op. I think I got like $100 at the campus store. Okay. I'm just going to go right down. I do see something from Victor here. Funding opportunity. Okay. This is a great question for Brock International with regards to the SIN number. So you can email Brock International at isa@brocku.ca. And I'm not trying to pass the buck here. The difference is that I am not a certified immigration consultant, and you have to be in order to answer certain types of questions. So it's a bit of a sticky situation for anybody who's not a certified immigration consultant, but they are very responsive to emails. And if you send them an email, they'd be happy to go through that process with you. Oh, there's the course code. Yes, that one.
It looks like we're at time, Becky.
Okay, well,
I
time
just
flies
wanna
when
thank-
you're having fun.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Please reach out to us at the email we've shared. We're happy to answer any other questions. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye, guys.